Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. By viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Thursday, February 10th. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. It's February, all right, but it feels a lot more like July. Record heat making for a beautiful summer-like day, but add to it gusty Santa Anas and you've got some trouble, like residents just to the north of us evacuated due to a wildfire. Here's KPBS reporter Tanya Thorne.
Fresno resident Kristen Lucas is vacationing in Oceanside with her family. They were expecting to visit the beach, but what they weren't expecting was the hot, windy weather San Diego is currently experiencing.
It's a lot warmer than we thought it would be, but it's beautiful.
And they weren't the only ones at the beach. Helen Britton and her friends were going out to lunch. Britton said just last week she had her heater running.
Last week I had my heater going, and I had to run out yesterday, and I had to go to the garage and get my fan. So now they're just right next to each other. I don't know which one.
Which one you need around each day.
National Weather Service meteorologist Alex Tardy says Britton might need to keep both her fan and heater nearby.
Is it winter? It's kind of one of those things where you got to pinch yourself after yesterday's heat. Record high 85 in San Diego. Today, expecting even hotter along the coast. So this is very rare. We're talking temperatures 20 to almost 30 degrees above their averages for February.
Tardy says the heat wave is due to a strong Santa Ana wind combining with a dome of hot air along the Pacific coast. Although there is no red flag warning in San Diego, Tardy says the longer we go without rain, the closer we get to fire danger.
So our fire weather threat is definitely real, and I think that's extremely evident with what just happened in Laguna Beach with a brush fire erupting near homes there.
Orange County authorities said the hot temperatures and strong winds helped fuel the blaze that is being dubbed the Emerald Fire. It's burning near a gated community with multi-million-dollar homes. Firefighters have been able to slow the spread, but Tardy says some relief is on the way as colder temperatures make a comeback next week.
Drastically colder next Tuesday, Wednesday, all areas, mountains everywhere.
Tanya Thorne, KPBS News.
San Diego County is following the state's lead and allowing the indoor mask mandate to expire next Tuesday. However, masks will still be required indoors for people who are not fully vaccinated and everyone in schools. The most recent data shows more than 2.5 million San Diegans, or nearly 81% of the eligible population, are fully vaccinated. Only 53% of eligible San Diegans have received a booster shot so far. Nearly 2 years into the pandemic, some elected officials are exploring ways to live with COVID in daily life. Governor Gavin Newsom says he will release the state's so-called endemic plan as soon as next week. Newsom also teased updated guidelines on masks in schools where students and teachers are required to wear them. It's a sad fact of life in San Diego, and city has one of the largest homeless populations in the country. But today there was a major step forward in changing that. KPBS reporter John Carroll takes us inside a new place that's ending homelessness for hundreds.
This area next to MTS headquarters, in the shadow of one of the most beautiful major league ballparks in the country, is where you find a lot of San Diego's homeless people. But it's now also where you find this, a new 14-story building meant to get folks like these off the streets.
People who have been on the streets for such an extended period of time, and now they look elated because they have a place of their own.
This is the St. Teresa of Calcutta Villa, the latest and the largest effort by Father Joe's Villages to get people into their own homes.
1, 2, 3.
Deacon Jim Vargas cut the ribbon to officially open this shiny new facility, and there, to his right, a 7-year-old girl named Abigail. She's now a resident here with her father, Joseph Fish. They were without a home just weeks ago.
It's been a blessing to me and her to have this opportunity to have something permanent and stable and something secure for my daughter and safe.
Safe, secure, and just beautiful. 14 floors of studio, 1- and 2-bedroom apartments, some set aside for veterans. But this place is about more than apartments. There is this beautiful garden area on the 3rd floor, and 1 floor up, a family courtyard and playground, complete with 2 gas grills and a view. And way up, a commanding view from what's called the Community Terrace, a dog-friendly space on the 13th floor. All of it for people who, until very recently, didn't have anywhere to live.
It has 407 homes. It will either end the homelessness or prevent the homelessness of about 550 individuals. I am over the top excited.
Thanks to the work of a lot of people, the villa came in on time and on budget during COVID. Vargas sees a divine hand at work.
That's not happenstance, okay? You know, I know that God was with us throughout. Not that it wasn't challenging, by the way, extremely challenging, but he provided the support that we needed throughout.
St. Teresa of Calcutta Villa is now open, and not surprisingly, it's almost full. A place where people are finding new hope. A place where people who were very recently without a home have now found a place to call home. John Carroll, KPBS News.
The recent trash strike is becoming an election issue in the Chula Vista mayor's race. At the same time, customers there are about to get some relief from the trash company. KPBS reporter Kitty Alvarado explains.
We want to push and encourage.
Chula Vista mayoral candidate Rudy Ramirez stood at a park that sits beneath the landfill, owned and operated by Republic Services, the city's waste management company, and bashed the city council's handling of the strike.
When the strike started, for the city to get involved, and should have been involved, months ahead of time before it happened, instead of just letting it happen. What I saw and what I see now is a little bit of a failure of oversight.
Ramirez, a former council member himself, says the city must have a good relationship with Republic in order to move forward with sustainability projects with the company.
If what's happening here today can help us achieve that future objective, then we ought to explore all those possibilities.
Several environmental advocates who stood behind him echoed his statement. However, when pressed about the trash hauler's responsibility to the city, community, and employees, Ramirez made it clear he didn't want to give Republic a pass.
You may have heard Republic Services is a billion-dollar company, and the city of Chula Vista may not be so prepared to enter into long-term litigation that's just going to cost the citizens and the taxpayers of Chula Vista money and not really advance a lot of the important things that we can do here in the future with this landfill.
Current council member Jill Galvez is also running for mayor. She says the city can and should hold Republic accountable.
You always have to do the right thing by your constituents. You know, my job is to represent my constituents first and foremost. Part of that is having a good relationship with Republic Services, but that relationship should not come at the expense of people being taken advantage of.
She and the city want Republic to refund customers for the month they were billed without having services, and also says they must reimburse the city for doing their job for them, plus the fines they agreed to in their contract for failing to collect trash. She says today, Republic agreed to give customers a 46% bill credit.
It falls short of what we were hoping and continue to press for with Republic Services.
Kitty Alvarado, KPBS News.
SDSU is closer to having all the land it needs for its Mission Valley expansion project. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen says a labor dispute has been holding up a land sale that's part of the project.
This sliver of land north of the Mission Valley Stadium property is small, just 2 acres, but SDSU says it's necessary to finish its stadium and campus expansion project. Labor unions, meanwhile, have been pushing SDSU to hire unionized construction workers for the project. Councilmember Chris Cate says that's not the city's business, and it shouldn't hold up the sale of the land.
We entered an agreement for this. The voters spoke decisively on this. We spent numerous hours. Staff spent numerous hours developing this and trying to move this along. Where we are today. Let's get this across the finish line.
A city council committee approved the sale Thursday, but the full city council has yet to weigh in. Meanwhile, SDSU's Snapdragon Stadium is still on schedule to open for football games in the fall. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
Sports-related tourism in San Diego took a hit when the Chargers left town in 2017, but now efforts are underway to market America's finest city as a destination for major sporting events. Mayor Todd Gloria and other local leaders announced the formation of Sports San Diego. It's part of the San Diego Bowl Game Association, which produces the SDCCU Holiday Bowl.
We are a city that knows how to host major sporting events. I'm proud of the city of San Diego. We have a whole team that stands ready for anyone who wants to come here.
San Diego recently hosted the Farmers Insurance Open and the Breeders' Cup, and more events are already scheduled this year. New numbers out today on just how high inflation rose in America, and it's worse than many economists thought. We have certainly been feeling the pinch with everything from groceries and cars to housing costing more. Reporter Chris Nguyen has the details.
Across the country, prices are rising faster than they have in nearly 4 decades, causing more anxiety among many Americans, including small business owners who are trying to manage.
For me, it's just hurting us more as a business individual than having it passed to them and hurting them more, because the way things are.
The U.S. Consumer Price Inflation Index rose 7.5% over the past year before seasonal adjustments. That's the steepest climb in prices since the year ending in February of 1982, according to data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
I'm going to work like the devil to bring gas prices down, which I'm going to work in to make sure that we keep strengthening the supply chains to bring the cost of energy and everything else and the goods that come to America down by helping the ports 24/7, by changing a whole range of things.
Prices went up across the board last month, including for housing, furniture, used cars, and health care. The increases even worse than economists had predicted. But the president's advisors maintain the situation will improve this year.
What the forecasts tell you is that the job market should stay tight and get even tighter, supporting wage growth while inflation decelerates, while it slows.
Relief that can't come soon enough for consumers.
Hopefully they will understand, because this is not just happening to our facility, it's happening all over.
Chris Nguyen, KPBS News.
The number of people living on the streets continues to grow. That has providers and city leaders scrambling to address the problem. As KPBS reporter Tanya Thorne explains, some believe changing conservatorship laws is one way to do so, but many disagree.
When you hear conservatorship, you likely think of Britney Spears and the Free Britney movement. Her conservatorship came to an end last November after 14 years. But there's another type of conservatorship that some lawmakers see as a tool to combat the homelessness crisis.
Right, we're not talking about an extremely wealthy, very famous celebrity. We're talking about the sickest and most vulnerable people that live on the streets of San Diego and on the streets of cities across the nation.
San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria wants to expand the current conservatorship law to force more mentally ill homeless people to go into treatment and get off the streets. Right now, the law says people who courts rule as gravely disabled can be placed under conservatorships, which means they can be placed in care against their will.
Or a portion of these folks, they end up in the criminal justice system, which I hear very clearly from the public they are not comfortable with. And there has to be some choice other than leaving them on the streets or incarcerating them in prison. We have to have a better option.
He thinks the gravely disabled definition could be expanded. But providers say even if more people can be forced into care, there aren't enough places for them to go. Michelle Cabrera is with the County Behavioral Health Directors Association of California.
How does anything change the day after that law is signed if we don't have more treatment beds, more housing, more funding for services? It won't bring with it all of those new resources.
Cabrera says people stand a better chance at long-term recovery when they enter into services voluntarily.
The vast majority of people, including people with serious mental illness, and or substance use disorder needs voluntarily, willingly accept both services as well as housing when it is offered to them. Our problem in California is that we have a major deficit of housing that meets the needs of very low-income Californians.
Greg Angel is the CEO of Interfaith Community Services.
Far too often we have to ask somebody, where did you sleep last night? And is it safe to sleep there again? Because help is not available today.
He says addressing conservatorship reform before expanding resources is a backwards way of thinking.
So until we have access to these resources, taking away people's rights who want to access those resources but who can't, just is going too far and is not something we would advocate for.
Carrie Souza has been homeless since 2016 and knows she suffers from a mental illness.
You know, I let them know that I have a mental illness and that I need help with my medication, and I need to have an eval. You know, but I don't think a lot of people know to say that.
She questions what will happen if someone rejects a conservatorship.
Because what if you don't want to do what they're asking you to do? You know, is that gonna, you know, affect me negatively? You know, am I now not going to get the services that I need? So that would be pretty pertinent.
Every Wednesday, Souza goes to a Humanity Showers event for a shower, food, and clothes. Jordan Verdin, who runs the program, is worried that conservatorships could violate people's trust.
And coming out here and speaking to people, you'll get to see a lot of the underlying issues are really deep-rooted in trauma and displacement. And this policies will actually perpetuate the trauma deeper by displacing them and removing them from their communities.
But Mayor Gloria says the problem can't continue as it has. Something has to be done.
And San Diegans see it every single day of people who are clearly not capable of caring for themselves being left on the streets where they're vulnerable, sick, in some cases dying. It's absolutely unacceptable. We have to do something different, and that's why we need to change our state's conservatorship laws.
He will spend the next year working to change the law. Tanya Thorne, KPBS News.
Plenty of gratitude today in Vista, where a local wounded veteran is marking a milestone in his recovery. Stuart DePaolo is a combat veteran who was badly hurt in a training accident at Camp Pendleton. Supporters joined him for a Walls of Honor ceremony to write uplifting messages on what will soon be the family's new home.
Wow. That's the first word that comes to mind when I pulled up this morning. It's just, wow, it's completely incredible.
Renderings show what the home will look like when it's finished this summer. It's specially designed with wider halls and automated technology for doors and lighting to make day-to-day tasks a bit easier. This is one of many new homes built for wounded veterans by the Gary Sinise Foundation.
We've been talking a lot about some of the warmth, and that does continue as we head through the next couple of days. But one thing that will start to die down, good news for us, those winds weakening some. Of course, there have been concerns of fires throughout the greater area of Southern California, and that's something that we'll need to continue to monitor as we head through the next few days. With the dry weather continuing, there could be some moisture into next week, so some big changes for us. Winds, a big story out there as we've gone throughout the day, and we've had those wind gusts through some of the mountains and canyons here of more than 70 miles per hour. So we know that it has led to some issues out there depending on where you were, even just driving along. Kind of get caught by that blustery wind, and it's really just not any fun. The good news is those winds really do start to die down tonight, so we are going to see some easement of the winds out there, and temperatures back towards 50 degrees for the low, so still staying relatively mild. Oceanside 43, Mount Laguna coming in the mid-40s. Your Friday, high pressure is still in control. It's shifted a little bit farther west, which is why, again, I don't think we have as much in the way of winds to be concerned with, and it's also going to weaken a little bit, but we're still talking about temperatures above average. 82 for the high as we head through tomorrow. 81 in Oceanside. Same thing for Chula Vista. Borrego Springs coming in at 87 degrees. So it is going to be a warm one and that trend continues right into Sunday, which is also the Super Bowl. So we've got plenty of warmth out there because of this ridge that's still in place. When does it break down? Possibly next week. Monday into Tuesday, we're going to start to add some clouds here, and we do get a cooler pattern, maybe a few showers into Tuesday in some locations. You can see that change, though, from the 80s to the 60s next week. Boy, will it make a difference. Inland communities also talking about the same thing. We're going from the mid-80s here as we head through the next couple of days to possibly lower 60s by Tuesday. So after this weekend, that's when we start to bring in some of those changes, and it's going to be a pretty quick change, I think, for many as we talk about that transition from about Sunday into Tuesday. And then we keep those winds in place for the mountain communities, desert communities going from the 80s and working their way back to the 60s by next week. For KPBS News, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Melissa Constanzer.
A major move involving street vendors. A city committee has approved proposed regulations that include limiting vendors in some communities during summer months. It also calls for year-round limits in certain parts of popular tourist areas like the Gaslamp Quarter. The draft rules will now go before the full council next month. Commercial home kitchens are about to become legal in San Diego County. KPBS Speak City Heights reporter Jacob Ayers says the change in policy is a huge relief for some small business owners in the region, including in National City.
Yeah, it is already cut. Yeah.
On February 25th, San Diego will start accepting applications for micro-enterprise home kitchen operations, otherwise known as MICOs. These are businesses that cook and sell food from residential kitchens. Patty Corona is excited to start a home kitchen business, catering to seniors at her mobile home park. She learned how to cook nutritional meals at Olivewood Gardens as part of National City's Cooking for Salud program.
But when we learned about MICAs, it was a great idea for us, and we support it because it's a combination of things of our dreams and the things that we have been learned and trained during all these years, and that we never figure out that they are going to converge and became a reality. So to have a MICO, it's just to have feed a bigger family.
Legalizing MICOs in San Diego has been in the making since California allowed for their introduction in 2018. Roya Bagheri is the executive director of the nonprofit Cook Alliance organization, the group that helped lay the groundwork for home kitchen policy change in the state. She says there's still more work to do.
Food, especially in areas where there are food deserts, this is providing more healthy access. And so we just want to shine the light on these home-based food entrepreneurs and show that this is a really great option and opportunity, and hopefully have that then grow across the country.
Corona and at least 4 other Cooking for Salud kitchenistas intend to share the lessons they learned from their organization through home kitchen operations in and around National City. She sees her business model building off of her previous catering business, which had to be shut down during the pandemic. All she needs now are the right permits.
But I don't know how this could apply if you have a regular home, if you are renting an apartment, or like in my case, like I live in a mobile home park. So that's my main concern. So if that is that will be not a problem. That means a goal for me.
The county's policy action will authorize MICOs throughout the San Diego region for at least 2 years. Depending on how things go, the policy may be revised in the future. A virtual training workshop will be held by the county's Food and Housing Division on February 15th to help business operators understand how to legally run a home kitchen business operation. Translation services for multiple languages will be offered at the event. Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
It's been tagged as the Crypto Bowl for the number of these first-time advertisers on the game day roster. But Sunday's high-priced Super Bowl ads will have plenty of more familiar faces and a massive audience. Karen Kafa looks at the high stakes and the star-studded surprises.
The verdict is
gorgeous.
The stakes are high and the stars are out for Super Bowl ads.
Advertisers are really lining up to be on the game this year.
Super Bowl broadcaster NBC says this year's in-game ads are sold out and top out at a record $7 million for a 30-second spot. Jason Lynch, television editor for Adweek, says that's because the audience and the buzz is unmatched.
There's nothing that compares any time of the year, not only for the game itself and those eyeballs in the game itself, but the discussion in the week leading up to the game and the days after the game.
The game day rosters are A-list, from Zendaya for Squarespace. Shucks. Scarlett Johansson and Colin Jost for Amazon's Alexa.
It's like she can read your mind.
And Michelob Ultra with Serena Williams, Peyton Manning, Steve Buscemi, and more. Game time. Analytics firm Cantor found for every advertiser dollar spent on Super Bowl airtime in 2021, the average return on investment was $4.60. Value in an audience that topped 96 million Americans in 2021.
Nobody sort of counter programs to the Super Bowl. So everybody says, you know, what are we doing on Sunday night? We're going to watch the Super Bowl. If you're an advertiser, that's enormously valuable.
Budweiser's Clydesdales return this year. And the automakers will show in force, like General Motors' 90s nostalgia. Booking.com's Super Bowl debut stars Idris Elba.
To be clear, we have never been accused of being flashy.
As travel companies appeal to pent-up pandemic-era demand. But among the newcomers, cryptocurrency exchange companies like FTX and Crypto.com trying to make a splash, even as cryptocurrency prices have tumbled.
I'll be interested to see if that kind of moves the needle at all and is successful in getting people to, consider, working with those companies and making crypto investments.
Tim Calkins, clinical professor of marketing at the Kellogg School of Management at Northwestern University, says he's interested to see how, or if at all, the pandemic plays in ads.
Last year, it was very interesting. There was very few direct references to the pandemic. So even though it's something we're all going through together, will advertisers tap into that? Will they try to touch that?
Or with big bucks on the line, big names make the big game a big escape. I'm Karen Katha reporting.
And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Good night.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley. And by the following: by viewers like you. Thank you.